Hi guys, I'm Kristie Howard with K-Factor Internet Marketing, and this video is going to be the first video for the start of one book that I'm actually a third of the way through now, and it's called Why A Students Work for C Students, and it's by one of my favorite authors in entrepreneurship is Robert Kiyosaki. He is the author of the famous Rich Dad Poor Dad empire that he's built based off of his first book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, which built up into a multi-million-dollar company for him, in which he is now creating board games, and he's written several other successors to that book, to include this one, which was just released a couple of months ago. And I'm going to be reading this book as part of one of the products for my Six-Figure Earner book club, which there'll be a link down below for you to join for free. It doesn't cost you anything, the Six-Figure Earner book club, in which we will be doing hangouts, and I'll be reading sections of books, different books that we'll be reading, this being one of them, the other one being Think and Grow Rich. And we will be masterminding and just a collective group of people with the same mission and goal, financial freedom and ultimately happiness in life. But leaders are readers, folks, so you have to read. They say if you want to keep anything a secret, put it in a book, because we just don't have a lot of readers today. We don't teach our children to read. Everybody is of watching TV, or they want someone to tell it to them. So you have to get into reading, and it was a struggle for me because I had gotten away from reading for a long time, but I'm back now and I really enjoy reading. I don't watch any TV. I don't have cable here at home. The only time I'm watching TV is when I'm out or at someone else's house. So any other time that I have, I spend it reading. So with that, I want to get started with the first section of this book, Why A Students Work for C Students. And I'm going to read this entire book on video, and I'm going to make a blog post out of each section, basically. So let's get started, shall we? So I'm going to start with the introduction in this book. And so I'm on page 3. If you have the book, follow along on your Kindle, or if you have the old-fashioned copy. I picked this up in the airport, so I actually have the paper copy instead of my iPad. But let's get started with the introduction. So it says, whenever I think about writing a new book, I always ask myself, why am I writing this book? For me, the answer has always been simple and always the same. I have always wondered why money is not a subject taught in school. Day after day, our teachers drummed into our heads, go to school, get a job. If you don't go to school, you won't get a good job. Why go to school? This caused me to ask my teachers, isn't the reason for getting a good job to make money? If money is the objective for getting a job, why not get right to the point and just teach us about money? My question was never answered. The emperor has no clothes. The emperor's new clothes is a Danish fairy tale written by Hans Christian Andersen, published in 1837. The plot. Once upon a time there lived an emperor who cared only about his clothes and about showing them off. One day 2 con men came to him and said that they would make him the finest suit of clothes from the most beautiful cloth. This cloth, they said, was very special. The cloth was invisible to the stupid and low-born. Being a bit nervous about whether he himself would be able to see the cloth, the emperor first sent 2 of his trusted advisors to see this special material. There was, of course, no cloth at all, but neither would admit that they could not see it, so they praised it. As word of this special cloth spread, all of the townspeople were now interested to learn how stupid their neighbors were. The emperor then allowed himself to be dressed by the con man in his special new shirt made of this special cloth for the procession through town, although he knew he was naked. He never admitted it for fear that he would be too unfit and stupid to see He was wearing nothing. He too was afraid that the townspeople would think that he was stupid. Of course, all of the townspeople widely praised the magnificent clothes of the emperor. Themselves afraid to admit that they could not see the clothes until a small child said, "But he has on nothing. But he has nothing on." The child's parents gasped and attempted to silence the child, but the child would not be silenced. As he twisted and turned, pulling his parents' hands from his mouth, he continued to say, "The emperor is naked." Soon a few of his classmates were giggling and joined in. After a while adults joined their children and began to whisper, "The kids are right. The old guy has nothing on. He's a fool, and he expects us to be foolish with him." What Americans really want. In this 2009 book, What Americans Really Want, Dr. Frank Lutz, a respected polished pollster, a respected pollster who measures the heartbeat of America, asked a survey question. If you had to choose, would you prefer to be a business owner or CEO of a Fortune 500 company? Those questioned responded with the following: 80%, the owner of a business that employs 100 or more people; 14%, the CEO of a Fortune 500 company that employs more than 10,000 people; 6%, don't know, refuse to answer. In other words, Americans today want to be entrepreneurs. The problem is that our school system is training our kids to be employees. This is why school teachers and many parents continue to say, "Go to school, get a good job." Let me read that line again. Go to school, get a job, a high-paying job. Few parents or teachers are saying go to school and learn to create good, high-paying jobs. There is a tremendous difference between the skill sets of an employee and the skill sets of an entrepreneur. The skills required to be an entrepreneur are not taught in most schools. Dr. Lutz found that over 70% of full-time corporate employees are considering or have considered starting their own businesses. Many people dream of becoming entrepreneurs, but few of them will take the leap of faith. The lack of financial education is the primary reason why most people do not remain employees. Without a financial education, most employees are terrified of losing their jobs, not having a steady paycheck, or simply failing. Financial education is the transformation that delivers. Financial education and the transformation that it delivers is essential for entrepreneurs. Forget MBAs. Dr. Lutz goes on to state, so, how to equip a generation of Americans for success in entrepreneurship? Forget about MBAs. Most business schools teach you how to be successful in a big corporation rather than to start your own company. But starting something from scratch and nurturing it as it grows is where our country has been at its strongest and most innovative. Killing the American dream. Americans have always wanted to be entrepreneurs. People immigrated to America, some enduring unimaginable hardships. Attracted by the promise of the American dream, millions left the oppression of the kings and queens of Europe and the tyranny of communist dictators in other parts of the world just for a shot at the American dream, their American dream. The American dream is just as Dr. Lutz describes. Starting something from scratch and nurturing it as it grows is where our country has been at its strongest and most innovative. Our schools seem to have forgotten about the American dream. The problem is that our education system trains students to be A students, academics, or B students, bureaucrats. Our schools do not train our young people to be C students, capitalists. Furthermore, it's these C students who so often follow an entrepreneurial path, carrying the torch of capitalism and creating new jobs. As entrepreneurs today, and many will tell you that these bureaucrats or these bureaucracies are actively destroying the entrepreneurial spirit of capitalism. They will also say many young students do not have the skills required for today's work environment. In fact, many have a bad attitude towards capitalists. Hatred of capitalists. In 2008, the Kauffman Foundation, a leading entrepreneurial think tank in America, commissioned Dr. Lutz to find out what Americans thought about capitalism. His survey found it's hard to tell which has become the strongest emotion, respect for entrepreneurs or hatred towards CEOs. In November 2012, Hostess brand, the maker of an iconic baked goods including Twinkies and Wonder Bread, shut its doors and filed for bankruptcy protection. The CEO of Hostess claimed that the company forced to shut down due to union demands for higher wages and benefits. Making matters worse, it's not just the 18,000 plus workers who were affected when the company closed. When the company closed, 18,000 families felt the impact as well. Hmm. If there is an average of 4 people in a family, the number of lives impacted jumps to 72,000. This ripple effect spreads from each family, affecting schools and businesses such as dentists and grocery stores, dry cleaners, retailers, auto repair shops, even churches, and the rest of the community. It was later disclosed that the CEO of Hostess brand and his team of married men and women paid themselves millions in severance bonuses. Small wonder that Americans now hate CEOs. Many are graduates of our finest business schools, and it begs the question, what is it that our business schools teach? Unfortunately, it is. Many of our brightest students go on to the business schools, graduating with MBAs, and begin to climb the corporate ladder as employees, not entrepreneurs. The most ambitious become CEOs and executives of big business. CEOs are not capitalists. Later in this book, I'll write about the fact that most CEOs are not capitalists. Most CEOs and corporate executives fall into a category called managerial capitalists, employees who work for real entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs like Steve Jobs, Thomas Edison, Walt Disney, Mark Zuckerberg, and others, but who have no personal financial stake or investment in the business. Increasingly Interestingly enough, Edison and Disney did not complete high school. Jobs and Zuckerberg never graduated college. Most A students graduate from our finest schools, become managerial capitalists, employees rather than true capitalists. This it is these managerial capitalists, typically A students, who land high paying jobs, who give capitalism a bad name. Managerial capitalists are scary. In this book, What Americans Really Want, Dr. Lutz states, in today's world, capitalists frighten people, and capitalism is shorthand for CEOs taking tens of millions of dollars on the same day their peers are wiped out, their pens wipe out 10,000 jobs. Tragically, many people do not understand the difference between managerial capitalists and true capitalists. Just think of the CEOs who were paid huge bonuses while millions lost their jobs, their homes, their retirement nest eggs. It is what our schools teach our best and brightest young people. Again, the answer is our schools give capitalism a bad name because what they teach is not true capitalism. Unfortunately, most parents are proud when little Johnny or Susie graduates from the top of their class and is hired by a Fortune 500 firm, earning a six-figure salary at the age of 26 and begins climbing the ladder. Most parents do not care that their child has been trained to be a managerial capitalist rather than a true capitalist, an entrepreneur like Steve Jobs or Thomas Edison. Today we have a global crisis because schools are more focused on greed and not generosity. Schools are how much money can I make versus how much money can I make serving others. Schools are about finding a high-paying job rather than creating high-paying jobs. Schools are about climbing the corporate ladder rather than how to create companies and corporate ladders. Schools are about job security rather than financial freedom, which is why most employees live in fear of losing their job. Schools teach little to nothing about money, which is why millions of people now believe in entitlement programs like Social Security and Medicare in the United States. And millions take jobs in the government or military service not to serve their country, but for the retirement and medical benefits. The New Depression. In 2007, the world awoke to the New Depression. There are many reasons for this modern day depression. A few of them are governments printing more money, trillions of dollars of debt, both personal and governmental, underfunded entitlement programs such as the Social Security and Medicare in the United States, and a growing entitlement mentality all over the world. Number 4, high youth unemployment and student loan debt that can damage a student's credit worthiness. Number 5, globalization, including workers in emerging countries working for less and causing jobs to be exported, leading to lower wages at home. These are the problems your child will face. The emperor has no clothes. So the question parents should ask is, are schools prepping my child for the real world? Well, the answer is no. And so the plot thickens. As Hans Christian Andersen warns us in his 1837 of The Tale of the Emperor. Soon the whisper spread from person to person until everyone in the crowd began shouting, "The emperor has no clothes." The emperor heard it, of course, and although he knew they were correct and he was stark naked in front of the town, he held his head high and finished the procession. It seems to me that the school system cannot admit that they are not preparing children for the real world. That would be admitting to failure, and we all know what failure means in the school system. It means that school thinks your child is not smart, but it really only means that your child isn't doing what the school tells them to do. Without financial education, your child will leave school naked. He or she may be an A student, but they will be parading through life like the emperor, as the tale goes. Although he knew he was naked, he never admitted it for fear that he would be too unfit and stupid to see that he was wearing nothing. He, too, was afraid that the townspeople would think that he was stupid. Since our schools will never admit that they are not preparing your child for the real world, it is up to parents and a child's first and most important teachers to give children the financial education required for the real world, a world that runs on money. Wow. So that's the end of the introduction to why A students work for C students. And I really enjoyed the story that he gives the synopsis of The Emperor Has No Clothes, because it's basically a tale of someone who has been conned. And I got to get off of this leg. Sitting on that leg for too long. Of someone who has been conned into something, basically sold wolf tickets. You know what wolf tickets are. Of this fine cloth. Oh, we have the finest of cloth. This cloth is so fine and so rich that only people that are high born, as they would say back then, born of the upper class, high born and highly intelligent, can even see it. Really, they were just conning him. No one can see it. He was naked. So he bought into this, even sent some people, to check it out. And because of their own fear of being looked at as stupid, or looked at as what did he say? Too stupid or dumb? As too unfit, unfit and stupid. So they came back and they said, "Oh yes, the emperor. Oh yes, it's beautiful. It's lovely." Then the emperor, the guys, the two con men with this imaginary cloth, come to drape the cloth on him and create his shirt, and he still knows he's butt naked, but instead of admitting, "Hey, I can't see this cloth. There's nothing here. Get out of here with that. There's nothing here." Instead of him admitting to that, he buys into it too. He drinks the Kool-Aid right along with him. "Oh yes, this is beautiful. I love this." And it takes him going through the procession or the parade, and for a child, they say from the mouths of babes. Basically, a child says, "What are y'all tripping over? This dude is naked. Can't y'all see that he's naked?" It takes the word of a child basically to make everyone else come to grips with. It's not because we're too unfit or born too low. It's not because we're stupid or any of those things. This dude has been conned, and now he wants all of us to believe, to buy into it as well. That's a very powerful story with a great metaphor in it. The Emperor Has No Clothes, that a lot of times we'll see things and we'll know that something isn't right, but our own emotional fear, our own, individual fear of not being like everybody else, or for fear of being less than or looked at as, as they say, dumb or unfit, for fear of sticking out, sticking out in the crowd, we go along with the flow. And sometimes you have to be willing in this life to rock the boat if you want to get different results. So you can't continue doing the things that you've always done. And if you want to get different results, you have to try to do something different. But that concludes the first chapter. Actually, it's the introduction of this book. And I hope that you will watch this video and that you'll listen to my readings. I hope that you'll follow along in your own copy of the book. But if you don't have a means to get it from the library or from Amazon or wherever, and you want to just watch me, listen to me read it to you, that's fine too. I'm happy to do it. I'm here to serve. But I encourage you to join the Six Figure Earner Book Club, which there'll be a link down below in the description of this video for you to join. We have a Facebook group. I only have a couple of members right now, but I'm confident that we'll be growing strong very soon. And it's all going to start with you. So the Six Figure Earner Book Club is free, and it's going to be us reading very valuable entrepreneurial related and self-help related books that are going to help you to start to build the life of financial freedom, dreams, and happiness, that you want in this life and can achieve. So go ahead and click the link below. Join the club and tune in with me. If you subscribe to the station, you'll get updated each time that I add a video. So go ahead and subscribe so that you don't miss any videos. And I will see you, my friends, in Facebook.